Hi Capricorn, welcome to your 2026 Astro-Tarot reading with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, whenever I'm talking about astrology, I'm using the whole sign, tropical, Western astrology system. And for which one of these you should watch, your sun, moon, or ascendant? Well, you should be watching all three, especially for an Astro Tarot reading, because astrology tends to favor your ascendant, whereas tarot tends to favor your sun sign. So to get a clearer, more complete picture of how this is unfolding for you, make sure you watch all three. Now, with that said, how I'm going to structure this video is we're going to be looking at your life sector overview, where we're going to delve into your actions. We're going to be looking at your career, your love life. We're going to delve into your spirituality. We're going to look at your finances, and then we're going to pay attention to any warnings that the tarot might have for you. Then we're going to get into your lunation section, and here we're going to be exploring your annual new moon, your annual full moon, how those are unfolding for you. Plus, we're going to be looking at the eclipses and how they're likely to be speaking to your sign this year. And then, as if all of that wasn't enough, you're also going to get a 12-month tarot breakdown, January through December, to see how the year is unfolding. If you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose, and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you want to book a personal session with me, tarot, astrology, numerology, energy work, there's links in the description box below. And I want to take a moment to tell you about my flagship bespoke offer. It's the first time I've run this, and it's the first one of its kind. The 2026 compass. I'm going to put a compass in your hand. We're going to help you navigate the year that is going to be 2026. I'm calling this intuitive strategy for the new era. 2026 is a universal 1 year in numerology. So whatever we set into motion is going to permeate the next 9 or 10 years of our lives. We want to start off this new era on the right foot, right? So if you want to align with the year, you really want to step in with clarity and power, there's a link in the description box below. It would be my pleasure to serve you in this way, especially you guys, Cappies, because you guys build for that long term, right? You're looking for those lasting results. So this is definitely suited to my Capricorns. With that said, have a fantastic time of it, and let's see what 2026 has in store for you. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your life sector overview for 2026. So here, what we're going to be doing is using the major arcana of the tarot deck only. So when you see all majors, don't worry, it's meant to be that way. So effectively what we're going to do here is we're taking a macrocosmic snapshot look at all of these different areas of life for you, and we're going to see how they are likely to unfold. What we are looking for here is the broad strokes of life and how things are likely to unfold for you in these sectors of your life. All right, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to pop these here. I'm going to give these a shuffle. Let's see what 2026 has. Ooh, I was about to throw them all over the place for a second. Let's see what 2026 has in store for you, my dear Capricorns. Okay, so for your actions and options this year, you have the Hermit card. So what this says is that in some way, shape or form, Capricorn, this year you are approaching life taking your own counsel. In some way, shape or form, you are stepping forward alone. And I don't want this to scare you. I actually say this to empower you. So I'm going to give you an example, right? Sometimes when you're trying to achieve a big goal, or you're trying to do something and you think, you know, I don't just want this for me, I want all of my friends to experience this as well, or I want it to go like this, or I want it to do that, and da 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 da. And then you realize, like, wow, in order to get everybody else over the finish line, I'm going to have to spend a lot of my energy. And unfortunately, sometimes that's the way that life works. Well, the message here is really to say to you, this year, it's not about that, right? This year, you are being encouraged to start really thinking for and about yourself. And what this means is you can come back to hold a hand out for your friends and your family to pull them forward. When you realize that you are doing something on your own and you make the decision to do that thing on your own, that's where your power truly sets in and everything really starts to align in your favor, because you're no longer waiting for other people to catch up. You're no longer spending your energy trying to help other people move forward. They either want it or they don't. You either want it or you don't. And this card, the Hermit card, it really says you're taking your own counsel this year. You are forging a path ahead that is solely based on what you want for yourself, the life that you're choosing for yourself, and the direction is opening up before you. Sometimes the Hermit card is about a literal quest, like an actual sort of level of travel. Sometimes it's a pilgrimage. Sometimes it's a metaphorical journey that we have to take in order to move our lives forward. Whatever the case might be, if you've been with me long enough, you also heard me say, when the Hermit shows up, the High Priestess has a message for you. So what do you know in your heart of hearts that the universe is trying to tell you, that your intuition is trying to tell you about 2026, and how there's something that you need to do on your own? For the options that are available to you, well, the Hermit card suggests that the options that are available to you this year are to make real progress on a specific path or towards a specific goal. There is, I don't know, you've all probably heard, there's a meme that floats around, like an age-old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with other people, right? And so this year I kind of feel like it's a little bit of both. In order for you to really get started or to go in a very specific direction and make real progress on this thing, you're going to have to go it alone in some way, shape or form. For your career, you have the Emperor card. For a lot of you, this is going to see you stepping into a leadership role in some way, shape or form. Your career is taking on a whole new structure. It's going to require not way more, but like different levels of discipline that you are used to. Now, yours is the most dutiful sign, apart from probably Virgo, I would say. Yours is probably the most dutiful sign, the one that is, you know, truly dedicated, respects authority, goes in, does what it needs to do. There's two magpies flying outside my windows. I'm saying all of this as well. And so what this really says to me more than anything else is this year, the structure, the focus and the discipline that you apply to what you're trying to build in your career is going to pay off. All of you in some way, shape or form are going to see yourselves advancing in some way, shape or form. And I love this. I think this is really life's way of saying the rewards are there for the hard work that you've done, right? So sorry, I'm going to have to do that because that little yellow box drives me mad. What I will also say here as well with the Emperor card is, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this literally represents a literal like learning institution. So in some way, this Emperor card is saying that you are on the right path. In whatever way you are a student, you are going in the right direction, so follow it, okay? The other thing that I will say to you here as well is the Emperor represents schooling, pedagogy, learning, it, like all of those kinds of things. It is the card that represents the educational system. So study and learning in some way is really the right way for you to go. For those of you that are employed by someone else, this year you are going to learn so much about yourself, about your industry, about how far you really can take something, what the possibilities are that are surrounding you at this moment in time, especially for advancement in your career, especially for where you could take things, how you could really move the needle in your career in some direction. The Emperor is also the ultimate leader, the ultimate head of a company, the ultimate head of a state. So in some like areas of your life, and in particular your career, you are being told that you're stepping into a leadership position. You're stepping into the top spot. This is where the recognition for the hard work, the focus and the discipline that you have already demonstrated shows up. This is where you step into that leadership role and you are going to have to go for it, right? For some of you, this might be a little bit scary, but the truth of the matter is you have everything that you need to be in the top seat. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, this is where you pull away from the crowd. This is where you establish yourself as an authority in your chosen field. This is where you position yourself as the consultant, as the go-to, as the business owner, the business person to go to in your field when people want ... This is the year that you take yourself, your business and your company, and you start driving it forward in a way that this is not about sort of being the best in your niche or in your lane or whatever. This is about you being like creating your own lane, right? Creating your own niche. This is you stepping into, in some way, the most powerful version of yourself, the most powerful iteration of your business. For those of you that are retired and no longer working, I think this is going to be the year that you really get your resources, your faculties and your lifescape into some semblance of order. This is where you know, and they probably are because you guys are Capricorns, but I feel like you're doing this in a way where you're kind of like, you know what, now that I've got all of that sorted, I've done the will, you know, I've done the structure, I've done the this, all of my affairs are in order. So now I can put that to one side and I can focus on living the rest of my life or the rest of my days in exactly the way that I want to. It's like this year, Capricorns, for those of you that are retired, you are handling that business, okay? For your love and relations, you have the Strength card. So for those of you that are single and looking to mingle, this year you are getting back out there. You are not being reckless with your heart, but I kind of feel like you're being a lot more open with your heart. You're taking a lot more calculated risks. You're dating up a storm, it looks like, for a lot of you. There's a lot of fun, there's a lot of pleasure, there's a lot of enjoyment, there's a lot of bravery as well, because a lot of Capricorns spend long times or long periods in relationships. So to suddenly find themselves single, a lot of Capricorns are kind of like, oh, okay, so now we have to do this, you know, this weird dating thing. This year, I think you're going to be doing a lot of that, really getting out of your comfort zone. I feel for a lot of you that are single as well, the kinds of people that you find yourself connecting to, interacting with, will be people who really challenge your way of living or even your relationship style. So that's really, in a lot of ways, I actually think this is very exciting. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, this is the courage to change. This is the courage to do the relationship different. This is the courage to, for some of you, this will be the courage to propose. For some of you, this will be the courage to move in. For some of you, this will be the courage to say, you know, we're married, let's renew our vows. For some of you, this will be the courage to say this relationship has gone as far as it can go and I am no longer invested here, or I feel like the other person is no longer invested here. I have to honor myself enough to walk away. It's not going to be easy, right? And so, you know, if you are one of that small minority, I don't think this is for everybody, but if you're one of those small minorities, this is the courage to say, you know what, as much as I love you, as much as I love this relationship or the consistency of it, I don't love where it's going or how it makes me feel or whatever. It's like truly acknowledging what needs to happen. And I think for all Capricorns, single and partnered, you're going to see where your relationship style has been somewhat performative and you're ready to do it completely differently. For your spirituality this year, you have the Hanged Man. This year, you will find that there is a lot of deep spiritual significance to many different things. Paying attention to the signs, the symbols and the synchronicities is going to be important. It's also going to be important to remember that not everything is a sign, okay? There may be a little bit of confusion about religion and spirituality this year. And the reason I say that is I kind of feel like for a lot of you, in some areas of your life, you're going to get basically everything you've ever dreamed of. And in other areas of life, you're going to be like, everything's actually falling apart. What the fuck, right? And so there might be some moments where you really question, like, how can this area of my life be going so incredibly well and really driving forward, and this part of my life completely going, you know, to shit. And that's not to say that, you know, you can't balance it out or that you won't find the balance. It's just to say that sometimes the process not the process, sometimes the best thing our faith, our religion and our spirituality can do for us is teach us the power to surrender, is teach us to, as they say, let go and let God. Sometimes the best thing that we can do with our hanged man, sometimes that we can do, well, the best thing that we can do with our faith and our spirituality is utilize it in order to help us let go of what we know is no longer serving us, building us, growing us, or supporting us. For your finances, you have the World card. So in this deck, it's called the Universe. It's a beautiful card. What this really says to me is you are going to a new financial level, Capricorn, that you've never been to before. This is going to be a year that really helps, assists, or builds your finances in a way that makes you go like, whoa, I didn't realize this was possible for me. The fact that you have this underneath the Emperor card means that in some way, shape or form, whatever you're studying, whatever you're learning, or the leadership role that you position yourself to step into is going to be pivotal for growing your finances this year. The World card is a card of absolute completion. This is kind of like the Magician and the Fool on steroids, because it's effectively, the World card is the Fool, fully realized, fully aware of and in command and in control of his personal power, more so than the Magician, right? Now, what this says to me is this year, financially, you are going to a new level that you really did not know what was possible until this year is done. Okay, so I'm very, very excited about this for you. Also, what's really interesting to me is the World card actually represents Saturn, and Saturn is your ruling planet. So I'm here for it, right? When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this year you really get command of your health and your body. Something about your relationships also triggers some kind of shift or change in your physical appearance. So, it's not always the case, but sometimes a breakup, people really go in, they get slim, they get trim, they get toned, they really start looking after themselves, all of that, okay? It's possible that that's a part of it, but I don't think it will be a breakup for everybody. It could be that your partner says, look, I really love you, but I'm starting to not feel, and I have to say this as well. Shout out to the partners, right? And I know you, because you guys are Capricorn, so I know you will appreciate this as well. Shout out to the partners who will literally say to you, I love you, but the state that you're letting yourself get into, I'm no longer finding you attractive. I want to be there to support you while you get, this figure, this body right, etc. That to me is not someone dissing you or making you feel bad about yourself. It's them giving you honest feedback about what needs to change for them in the relationship. And if they're saying, I'm going to stick around and support you while you get this done, for me personally, I would take that from my partner and say, okay, you know what? I can handle honest feedback. And more than anything, I'm going to put this into practice, or I'm going to put this into action. So really and truthfully, if you get some kind of feedback from, your love sector is mostly about relationships, but it could be a family member as well. Maybe somebody says to you, look, I really love you, but I'm worried about your health. You need to get your diet together. You need to get your body right. You need to go back to the gym. You need to trim down. You need to put weight on, whatever the case might be. Listen to what's coming up, because it's honest feedback. But the fact that you've got the Universe card here, this will be we're going to see a lot of Capricorns. I said this, I think a lot of Leos, a lot of Capricorns, and I also think a lot of Aquarians this year. You're going to see them really get that. They're going to be keeping that shit tight, okay? I'm totally here for it. When it comes to, sorry, you guys know I get way too excited. Finally, when it comes to your home and your living situation, for a lot of you, this is a new home. For a lot of you, this is a change to your living circumstances. Maybe you move, maybe you get a different lease, maybe you sign a better lease. I think for a lot of you, you will. For some of you, I actually think this is going to be the year that you buy a property. I think you're going to really love that. It's going to change a lot for you and create a lot of stability as well. For your warnings this year, you have the Moon card. Okay, so your warnings this year are twofold. because you've got the Hanged Man and you've got the Moon card, this year, one thing that you do need to watch out for is confusion, right? And what I mean by this is watch out for where you tell yourself lies, watch out for where you get hoodwinked. And this is not to say that this is going to happen all the time. It just means that your feelings are not going to be as reliable as your intuition this year. And it really is up to you to really learn to discern the difference between your feelings and your intuition. And what I would say to you with this is, when you find you're having those moments, outsource, speak to your people. The Hermit card is saying a lot of what you're doing alone. But remember what I said, the Hermit shows up when the High Priestess has a message for you, your intuition. This year, you're going to have to learn to discern the difference between the two. And sometimes the best way to do that is to say, you know what, I am actually a little bit confused here. I need a sounding board, whether that's a friend, whether it's a family member, somebody who really cares about you, somebody that you would trust to have those kinds of conversations with. The second thing is, this year, when you find yourself in cyclic patterns of the past, where things from your past are coming up, or people from your past are coming up, I want you to really examine this and ask yourself, why is this showing up now? Why is this showing up in my life at this moment in time? There will be echoes from the past, there will be people from the past, there will be situations from the past, and when they come up, this is not about reconnection. This is about you paying attention and not allowing yourself to become emotional so that you end up making wrong steps for you. All right. Now, I want to tell you about the compass, the 2026 compass. 2026 is going to be a monumental year. It's a universal 1 year in numerology. So this is going to flavor and permeate whatever your personal year is. This year, what is unfolding in 2026 is going to flavor and permeate through the next 9 or 10 years of our lives, okay? It's a very big deal. Now, that being said, I wanted to create something that could really help people move life forward in some way, shape or form. So when I was creating the compass, I put the energetic call out there. I called in for 30 people who I could genuinely help, genuinely serve, and really help them move their lives forward in some way. Now, if you've heard the call, if you feel that stirring, then this is for you, right? If you feel that energetic sort of moving in your chest, if you feel like, you know what, when he talks about this thing, I feel like I'm being called, you are one of those people, right? The 30 people that the compass is for, I'm calling them the pioneers, because 2026 is a universal 1 year. It really is about everything new. And what is somebody that explores things that are new? Pioneers, right? There are only 30 spaces, and now I'm going to tell you why. You get a 12-month tarot reading, which we're going to use as your baseline blueprint. You get a PDF booklet calendar, right? It's not just a booklet, but it's a calendar where basically all the notes that you get from me are written by me for you based on your numbers, based on your chart. Yes, your astrological chart. As if that wasn't enough, there's space in there so that you can write your notes, so that you can put your prompts, so that you can put your own insights as well. Sorry, I had an itch on the back of my neck. And also, as if that wasn't enough, you get a 3-hour session with me where we are going to sit down in December. We're going to use your stars, we're going to use your numbers, we're going to use your tarot reading to build a strategy for you for the entire year, so that if you get knocked off your course, you can get back on it quickly. And really and truthfully, if you can see what the challenges are coming before, you know how to sidestep that and literally just stay on path, stay on target. There are only 30 spaces because I know that that's the amount that I'm going to be able to deliver at the level of quality and focus and attention and time that it's going to take to fulfill these. There's a 2 installment payment plan. So it's $550. You will pay one half on sign up. You'll pay the other half in November. When we get to December, you have your session. By the time you get to 2026, you're paid up, you're clued up, you're informed. You go into 2026 ready to smash the year. All right, that's what the compass is all about. There's a link in the description box below. At this point, I will say, if you're watching this, because obviously Capricorn's quite a late one, so there's probably, I don't know how many spaces there are going to be left at this point, but if you would like to work with me in that way and you want that 3-hour one-to-one, Because a lot of people have said to me in the past, I love like I used to do a year ahead reading for everybody, and then I kind of limit it to 20 per year. And lots of people would say to me, I loved it. I wish I could have asked you questions. Well, this time you get to ask me questions, and we are going to plan your year meticulously. All right. With that said, stay tuned while we get to the next part of your reading. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your 2026 lunation. So here we're going to be looking at your new moon, your full moon, and how the eclipses are going to be affecting you over the course of this year. So with that said, let's get straight into it. So I'm going to share my screen. You should be able to see your lovely 2026 Capricorn moons booklet. So we're going to start with your new moon. It is here at the beginning of the year on the 18th of January at 28 degrees of your sign. Now, what's interesting, I mean, let's get into it because there's obviously a lot to talk about here, right? So quite frankly, this new moon for you is one of the best new moons of the entire year, actually, I feel. Another what I would call deceptively quiet, right? It's at the very tail end of your sign. It's very close to being on the anaretic degree, but not quite. It is also conjunct Mercury and Mars, both of whom at this time at 26 degrees of your sign. It's a Capricorn party at this moment in time, and we are all invited to get our collective and personal shit together. Okay. Now you add to this that Mars is exalted in your sign, so there's a lot of good, fresh, powerful, dynamic energy in your area at this moment in time. Since the new moon is so powerful with just with the stellium on its own, let's explore that. Mars is exalted in your sign. It's a strong, powerful Mars at full speed at this point in a great sign. It's giving you passion and power and drive and focus and determination more than usual, right? As if you need any more. This is like time for you to get shit done, right? Mars for you is your home and your family and your living situation, along with any future aspirations, goals, visions, dreams, and also friends and helpful people. And I think that many Capricorns at this time could really set something very ambitious into motion around the time of this new moon. And it's looking stellar if you keep the faith and you stay focused like only Capricorns can, right? Fixed on the outcome, not the current circumstances, especially with Mercury in the mix as the ruler of your sixth house and your ninth house. I think you could be bringing a very practical and potentially very studious element to this as well, whereby some of you might like to study abroad. Maybe you start to apply for a visa. It might see you change what you do on a daily basis. Maybe you begin a course of study. It could also be that whatever it's like, it takes you a solid while, but it opens up brand new pathways and vistas for you. Some of you might embark on a physical transformation at this time as well. I would not be surprised to find this out, which requires grit, determination, and prowess even as well, especially because the new moon is sextile to your ruler Saturn in the third house of learning, third house of study, third house of skills, third house of daily inspiration, interaction, communication, your local environment as well. It's like it does have a contractual feel to it as well. Applications or interviews, etc., that are unfolding around this new moon, or as a result of this new moon, could be absolutely stellar for you. Like it's just such a nice new moon for you guys. The sextile extends to Neptune as well, and both are newly direct in the sign of Pisces. They're tracking forward at this point, heading towards their conjunction that's going to happen over in February. It gives both a spiritual and uplifting and transcendent energy, and Saturn is grounding the visions and the ideas and saying, go slow, right? Take your time and do it right. Make sure that you have all of the pieces in place first. Then strike while the iron is hot. Saturn rules your money, along with Uranus in Taurus, who is currently retrograde at this moment in time, finishing up its business there. but it's also the co-ruler of your finances. And that Uranian energy over there is sextile to Neptune and Saturn. So there is an element of this that could really bring things to a culmination, but in a really nice kind of way. In all of this, there is a financial element buried in this, and that is absolutely it has promise about it, right? That if you work on this, that if you make the steps, that if you make the changes that you need to with your steps and you know are needed, especially the ones that you take that are out of your comfort zone, that really push you to do something new, magical advancement in work and finances and even your health could really unfold for you as a result of this new moon. It really is fantastic. Not to put a dampener on it, but I will say watch the square to Chiron in the fourth, saying that something to do with home or family or property may be the sticking point around all of this. And it's like maybe that is something that needs to be released in those areas in order for you to absolutely fly. But I have to say, I really love your new moon this year. I love it for you. I love it for all of us because it's just, I have to say, I think this Capricorn new moon is definitely the best one of the year. So your Capricorn full moon happens on June the 30th. This is a different story, right? We've got the moon at 8 degrees of the sign of Capricorn, 8, 9 degrees, give or take. It's actually 8. I don't know why I've put 9 here. My apologies. I will rectify. I will rectify. Now, on top of that, it's setting up with the sun what we call a T-square with Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of this moon. It's in the sign of Aries. It's direct once more. It's at this point, by the time we get to June, Saturn's already made quite a good sort of fair way through the sign of Aries, through your fourth house. Saturn is the planet that represents your way through here. And so what this says to me is you're going to have to really acknowledge your feelings. You're going to have to really pay attention to your family, your property, your living situation, whatever's unfolding in that area. There is some support, right? Because you've got Venus in a trine to this Saturn from the 8th house. So joint finances, resources, taxes, loans, debts, etc. There's some kind of financial support that could be available to you. But it does suggest that some kind of familial tie could be a problem or an issue at this moment. So your full moon is a bit of a tougher affair, right? It's going to require some grit. It's going to require some determination to get through. These are things that are naturally you anyway, so you'll be fine. I say this because you are being highlighted, but that moon squaring Neptune and widely to Saturn obviously is going to create some tension, and the sun in Cancer in your 7th house is highlighting what the world wants from you and what your obligations and your partnerships are demanding from you at this time. The moon is saying that your needs, your own needs, need to be your focus, right? And there needs to be a focus on a change, right? Usually, Capricorn is very much focused on making things good and clean and efficient and really going to town for others. But this time, this has got to be a self-centered energy, right? Whether that's a living situation, which could possibly be a hidden water or mold or even family secret that comes up at this time. So I will say with this as well, if you have any problems with water damage, damp, mold, anything like that, this would be the time to get it sorted ASAP. All right. It could also be something that comes up from within the family by way of a secret. And when it comes up, you're kind of like, okay, now I need to school my emotions so that I can deal with this. You might be frustrated and maybe even sad at that every time you decide to focus on yourself, something seems to come up from within the family or somebody else needs something from you. And it's like, when can I just get a break for my fucking self, right? The way through the T-square is the planet that plays the handle. This is both, Neptune and also Saturn as well, right? So these are two energies that you need to kind of really look at. What I would say with this is deal with the familial and the childhood wounds and really be vocal about them. Since Saturn, your ruler and the ruler of the moon is also in Aries, your approach might be a lot more aggressive than people, or maybe more powerful than people expect. It might be a time where you start thinking about how home and property and family sort of really drain rather than, feel like a blessing to you. And it's like you start to look at this and you think, right, okay, what am I going to shift, to release, or to let go of here, or implement so that I can start to enjoy my existence and my experience that much more? So for the eclipses this year, you have the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius in your second house of money, finances, resources. It's in a pretty tight square, should I say, to Uranus, who at this point on April the 17th at 28 degrees, that's the eclipse, is square to Uranus, newly direct in the sign of Taurus, where it's going to finish up its business, and then it goes into Gemini for the next 6+ years. Now, as a part of this, it is worth considering, sorry, I got an itch right there. It is worth considering that as a part of this, Uranus is the modern ruler of this of your second house. Saturn is the traditional ruler of this house. Now, so this kind of is a story of two halves. This eclipse really is about your money, your finances, and your resources. There's definitely some kind of consideration about how you see and view and value yourself, for sure. There is a chance as well to think about financial growth and expansion, since this is a North Node eclipse as well. But there are a few ways of making money coming in that are either revolutionary, maybe some alternative ways of collecting resources or funds. Maybe you start taking payments in crypto, who knows? This could be where some of you are having dental work done. I will say I can absolutely attest to this. Whenever there are energies of eclipses going through the second house, we usually end up needing to have some kind of dental work or remedial work. Now, because it's a North Node eclipse in this second house, it probably won't be anything like remedial. It might just be cosmetic, but whatever it is, that might be something that you end up spending money on. Now, that being said, the second house is also food and sustenance, how you sustain yourself. And it might be that you're adapting how you eat, how much you eat, what you eat, when you eat, changing your meal times. I will say as well, because this is a new moon solar eclipse that's square to that Uranus energy in the fifth house, it suggests that there's a strong chance that you could be feeling challenges with children if you've got them. It could also be that you've got, like if you've got a personal business, something to do with cash flow in the immediate might get a little bit tense, but then it regulates later as you start bringing in these new ways of earning money or new ways of bringing finances in. Uranus is finishing up whatever it's doing in Taurus, so it's going to be at that tail end. Now, there is something else here that we do need to consider that I haven't mentioned. And that is Saturn, the traditional ruler of this eclipse, is in your fourth house, conjunct Neptune. So this is why I said there could potentially be something that comes up with water around the home, water, damp, mold, etc. You want to watch out for things like that. Now, wherever Saturn and Neptune come into a conjunction, they tend to erode or tear something down. This doesn't mean that your house is suddenly going to fall apart. Doesn't mean that your house is suddenly going to be, costing you X amounts of money. What it does mean is your sense of family, home, security, stability may be disrupted or eroded in some way. This could be a child turns around and says, I'm moving out, I'm leaving home. It could be that a partner, maybe you and a partner, a significant other, maybe you split and your partner says, actually, I'm moving out. It could be maybe that you bring one in. Whatever you've done up until now, the way that it's been done is likely to change, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't all have to be doom and gloom, but it will definitely create some kind of shift in that home and living situation. A new money story is coming in for you here, right? But the node being in, obviously the node at this moment in time is in the sign of Pisces and in that third house. So it's really trying to get you to think about new ways, new ideas to earn money so that you can start to implement them and bring that money in. Your new moon saw to seeing whatever needed to be set into motion had been done so, and I think this carries on that story. Now, the second, wrong one, Raf. The second moon of the eclipse cycle, of the first eclipse cycle of the year, is the Virgo eclipse on March the 3rd at 12 degrees of Virgo. This is a true eclipse. It's very close, tight to the node, as you can see. It's sextile to a retrograde Jupiter in your seventh house of partnership, relationship, significant other. We love that. It is in opposition to a, it's a wide degree orb, but in opposition to a retrograde Mercury. Now, Mercury is the ruler of this eclipse because Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, where it doesn't necessarily do great. Mercury's great in the third house. It understands that very well, but it loses dignity for being in Pisces and also being retrograde. If ever there were going to be miscommunications, if ever there were going to be mishaps due to miscommunications, this eclipse is likely to do it. So do be careful the week before, the day of, and the week after. This is not a good time to be signing up to anything new or, signing new contracts or documents. It really isn't. Unless you are unless you're renegotiating something, in which case it's perfect, all right? But if it's not a renegotiation, this is not the time for something brand new. Now, this is in your ninth house. I think this is revealing to you where whatever has been set into motion, it's going to need tweaking, right? It will highlight the first or the largest challenges to such a process because the ninth house is higher education. It's your spiritual wisdom. It's your spiritual gnosis. It's your belief system and structure. It's foreign travel, foreign cultures, distant lands. It's your world perspective and view. Since this is the house of visas, citizenships, legal matters and proceedings, anything to do with international connections and foreign affairs, it's possible that some of you might be seeing those things in a very different light after or as a result of this eclipse. Now, remember, whatever eclipse you're talking about, they usually unpack or unfold over the course of 3 to 6 months. It's very rarely bang on the day and done, all right? Very, very rarely. Your worldview or your perspective might be shifting at this time. And maybe it comes to a release point where you kind of say, like, yeah, actually, you know what? I have this belief from my childhood, or I have this belief from my family, and it just doesn't ring true anymore. It doesn't speak to me. So it's kind of like whatever you're letting go of, it will in the long run create a lot of freedom for you, but it's like it really needs to be discussed in the here and now. Whether, like, it's like another thing as well, like you kind of feel like you're in between or in some way, kind of, it's almost like it's coming from both sides in a sense. This eclipse is sextile to Jupiter in your relationship house, in your contract house, your commitments house, your partnerships, which means that there are support from others around anything that you're trying to do. Since Jupiter is retrograde, do think about, wherever you're signing new contracts, you do want to be a bit extra careful. Mercury, the ruler of this eclipse in Pisces, as I said, it could be miscommunication. So you want to be really, like, if you can avoid contracts or signing important documents at this time, you really do want to wait until after. Things will be a lot clearer and a lot less sort of rigidly set in place, if that makes sense. Whatever unfolds with this particular eclipse, one thing is certain, and that is that there likely, whatever challenges or miscommunications there are, they can and they will be overcome, but diligence is going to be required along with a lot of clarity. The second eclipse season of the year sees the first eclipse in August on the 12th of August is at 20 degrees, give or take. If I advance the moon any further, the sun slips into 20 degrees, so it is kind of at 20 degrees if you want to get right to 20 degrees, and it goes to, because the minutes is what did it. Anyway, I'm sure you're like, what is he talking about? This is not relevant. It is at 20 degrees is what I'm trying to say when it's exact. Okay, so this New moon solar eclipse in the sign of Leo. The nodes have now shifted. As you can see, the south node is in Leo, the north node is in Aquarius officially. So your official new eclipse season slash cycle has begun. You have Jupiter in the sign of Leo at this point. That is a shift. That is a change that has happened this year. And this is an eighth house eclipse for you. So the second and the eighth houses, all about your money, all about your finances, all about your resources, joint finances, joint resources. Jupiter and Saturn are in a really nice trine. The eclipse itself is in a really nice trine to a retrograde Saturn, which means that there is a stabilizing factor to this one, even if it's not sort of exact. Now, a new moon solar eclipse in the eighth house is a chance to right the ship around financial commitments, partnerships, and connections. Maybe even a sense of freedom that comes in around such matters. And because the eighth house is about transformation, and since yours is ruled by the sun, this is really about soul transformation, along with a sense of authenticity as well, right? So you've got Jupiter in that eighth house expanding this matter, Mercury adding really good communication to the mix. This is a lot better for the next 3 to 6 months ahead. You're able to communicate what you need, and it creates a shift in not even creates a shift in your desires, but it creates a shift in you achieving your desires. There's a trine to Saturn as well, which means that you're repealing or rethinking your emotional connection to something or someone and taking a greater stance to really move forward with confidence and power. Remember, the eighth house is about our personal power. This is where you shine, right? Leo is where we shine. The eighth house is about power, power games, powerlessness, or who has the power, where they have the power, and how they feel it. It does feel like there might be a financial glow up in this season for you, but in all honesty, I think it comes due to an internal shift that's underway or assisted in some regard. And it's like if you have ever needed an emotional laxative, you're about to get one, right? Whether you want it or not, Capricorn, I'm just going to tell you straight up. So whatever does unfold here, it will provide you with a greater sense of emotional control. And while it does take some navigating, you will fully emotionally be aligned to handle it all in your stride. So I love this for you. Finally, we have the last eclipse in this cycle in the Pisces and Virgo axis. So you've got the sun you've got Mercury basically conjunct the sun in the sign of. There's the Capricorn, right? It basically conjunct the sun in the ninth house in Virgo. You've got the moon at 4 degrees of Pisces. It's tight to the node, so it's a full-on full moon lunar eclipse. But the node is in the sign of Aquarius now. So this adds a little bit of a flavor to it. This final eclipse in that third is one that is going to be felt. It's going to create ripples because it's forming a T-square to Uranus. Uranus in the sign of Gemini over here in your sixth house. So something about your daily experience and existence is shifting. It's opposing that Sun and Mercury in Virgo in your ninth house, which means that you're communicating in a really strong way, but from the soul. It's like whatever you're saying at the moment, it really finds the light and it really finds the might as well. What's being illuminated is potentially linked to some newfound freedom from a past trauma, past issues. That moon in the third house of Pisces is eclipsing, but because it's in that third house and the node is in Aquarius in your second house of finances, it could be that a conversation around money might be a part of this. And the moon in a square to Uranus setting up that T square, some daily task or expectation around your routines is suddenly very much like some surprise element is introduced and it's like you can't ignore it anymore. This could come through your work, but could just as easily come through your home life. Uranus is in the sixth house of the body, the physical health and vitality. This is something that could throw some challenges or some issues. And Uranus is asking you to learn to use information to your advantage. It's also asking you to change your routines. Uranus in the sixth house whatever routines you had, and Capricorn loves a routine, right? You love structure, you love routine, you love it to be just so. Well, with the fact that you've got Uranus in the sixth, your routines might be a bit more sporadic from now on. Where you try to implement routines, they might come to nothing, and you might have to say, okay, my days look very different from now on to what they used to. It could be as well that you unshackle yourself from a burden of sorts that means you're able to walk away in some regard. And I say that because Uranus represents the energy of divorce. It's where you're breaking away from something or smashing off the shackles. The sixth house is about burdens, it's about drudgery, it's about the things that we just have to do to plod along to get along. And this is getting rid of that. Now, the eclipse is in a wide trine to Mars, which means that there is support from people, but they might be family members or friends, and it's possible that there could be a lot of mixed emotions at this time. So just keep that as a consideration. So, I want to tell you about the 2026 compass. Universal year one, that is 2026 in terms of its numerology, is going to be a changeable, dynamic, pioneering, and new unfolding year. There's going to be so much change next year. There's going to be new ways of doing everything, and there's literally life is demanding you to do something different. I created the 2026 compass to literally be that, a compass that helps you navigate all the way through the year. This is not just a reading, it's a system that's going to help you really move through the year with intention. You're going to get a 12-month tarot reading, right? This forms a big part of the basis. You're going to use that month by month. You get a booklet, a PDF. You know, Rafi loves a PDF printable booklet that is also a calendar. It's going to have handwritten, not handwritten, but handwritten notes in it by me, right? For you specifically based on your numbers, based on your chart, your astrology. You're going to notice as well that booklet is mostly it's mostly empty because there's space in it. Why? Because you get a 3 hour session where we are going to sit and plan your year meticulously, month by month, based on your tarot, based on your astrology, based on your numerology. This is building you a system and a strategy. You guys love that. To get through this year because it's going to be unlike anything that we've seen before. Trust me, this is going to be one we remember for a long time to come. Now, the other thing is, as well, if you remember the winter solstice, that's coming back this year in 2025. You get a complimentary seat on the winter solstice to do your energy work to activate 2026 before you even step into that year. There is a payment plan. You pay in two installments. First installment is your sign up, second installment in November. Before you even get to your session in December, you're already paid up. No financial stress for the new year. As if all of that wasn't enough, by the time you get to January, you are going to be locked, armed, ready, and dangerous. So if you want to get that, you can sign up on the link on the description box below. Remember, I only have 30 seats for this year, and the reason there's only 30 spaces is because that's how many I know I'm going to be able to deliver. Any more than that, and I really run the risk of not offering the kind of quality that I want from the first person to the 30th. I want you all to go back to like, I want you to all finish your 3 hour session and be like, damn, that was worth every penny. All right. So with that said, link in the description box below. Make sure you check that out. It would be my pleasure. Stay tuned for your for the next part of your reading. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your 2026 tarot breakdown. So let's get straight into it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your first card out, so remember your first card out, it kind of typifies the year that you're going to have, right? It gives you a good heads up of what's unfolding over the course of this year. And remember, if it's a challenging card, it doesn't mean that you throw the whole reading in the trash. It just means that that's something that you really need to pay attention to over the course of this year. So yours is the Magician card, right? What I love about this is the Magician card is number one. 2026 is a universal 1 year. And as if that wasn't enough, you are the 10th sign of the zodiac. Well, in numerology, we're always simplified. So you slice the zero off. What does it give you? The number one. So in effect, you do have an affinity with this year in some way, shape, or form. It might be buried deep, but it's definitely there and it's definitely present. The fact that you've got the Magician card for January means that in some way, shape, or form, or in fact, in terms of the year, this is about really coming into your personal power. For a lot of you, this could be a year of promotions, or where your personal brand or your business is really coming up trumps, where you are being seen by the world for the authority, the magic, and the power that you command. It also suggests that in some, well, not even in some way, like in all ways, this really puts you in a position of power. It puts you in a position of really understanding that you have all the components that you need to really create and generate anything that you desire. I'm going to say there are some massive opportunities shaping up for you this year, providing you're willing to take them. Now, for January, this is likely to be a very big conversation in some regard that really could speak volumes for where you go. Now, you've got this with the Fool card: new things, new places, new people, new energies. For some of you, this will literally be a new job, and it will be one where you're stepping upward in some way, shape, or form, or stepping into a position of power. On top of that, this could also be that you are connecting with a power player that you didn't know before, somebody that comes into your world that really helps you get the most out of your life, because they are, effectively taking you under their wing. They're training you, they're pushing you in some regard. Finally, because these are the first two cards in the entire tarot deck and the major arcana, they're two of what we call the supernal triangle. It means that this year kicks off with a bang. It also means that this whole year is going to be a year that has really big ripples for your life path moving forward. Now, on the 26th of the month, in fact, let's start with the 18th. On the 18th of January, we have the annual Capricorn new moon. This is the time to set your intentions, right, around whatever it is that you want. Oh, I almost forgot as well. Happy damn birthday to you. If you are a January born Capricorn, happy damn birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful solar return. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything that you want this entire year ahead to have in it for you. On the 26th of the month, we have Neptune moving back into the sign of Aries. This for you represents your fourth house of home, property, family, real estate, where you live, how you live there, who you live with. Now, for February is a packed month. There's a lot happening here, right? So we're going to start at the beginning. First things first, we've got a Mercury retrograde that starts on February 26th and goes through to March 20th. That's in the sign of Pisces, and for you, this represents your third house of communications, conversations, siblings, your daily experience, your skill set, all of that good stuff. So you could be really rethinking this at this time. It could also be that you're rethinking your living situation or your local area and your connections to it. As if that wasn't enough, we also have Saturn moving back into the sign of Aries on the 14th of the month. So that's coming back into that fourth house as well for you. And again, this is all home and family stuff. Remember, you are Saturn, so you're coming into the fourth. So I think in a lot of ways, this Saturn in the fourth is really going to strengthen you from the bottom upward, right? This is going to be where you really start to get a powerful handle on your own emotions, and also where you start to really understand how to put family ties, your history, and your roots in its proper place. When it comes, as if all of that wasn't enough, we have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of in the sign of Aquarius, which for you represents your second house of money, finances, resources, self-esteem. If you want to find out how that affects you, make sure you check out your lunation section. Your moons are separate, so I'm not going to go into that here. Now, as if all of that wasn't enough, we also have the official Saturn and Neptune conjunction in that fourth house for you. So this is, I mean, it's going to be huge. There's going to be a video about this separately. And if you want to find out how all of these astrological transits speak directly to you, you can book an astrology session with me. There's a link in the description box below. So that's February, right? And for this, you've got the moon card. I will say, Capricorn, I want you to be fully aware that February could be a very, and I mean very, emotional month for you. There could be, you could really be reflecting or thinking back over something at this time. And it might see you really starting to think about where it is that you go, where it is that you go from here. You're really looking back over the past. It's a deeply emotional time. There's a lot of emotions coming up at this time. And to be honest with you, my feeling about this, like intuitively in here, it's almost like some of the feelings that you'll have, like, oh, I feel all emotional now. Some of the feelings that you have, you might not know how to process them. You might, we were very fortunate when my nan passed, because we had lots of time with her to say what needed to be said, and all of that kind of stuff. But there are times where you don't get that opportunity, and I touch wood, and I really hope this isn't the case. But it does feel like February is a very, very emotional month for you, and I can't shake it, but I feel like there's going to be some area of your life where you feel like you have questions, or you feel like you don't have the answers that you need, and you might not get them. So this might be a time where you have to really process a lot of information. You've got this with the Empress card. So on the sort of positive side, this could represent a past cycle where you are reconnecting with women, mother figures, sisters, etc. in your life. So there could be a lot of reconnections, re-establishing of relationships around women. In some regard, that could be really lovely. It could also be that you're returning to an environment that you truly love or cherish. So it's no secret that, like, I have an absolute love for areas of Wales. But this doesn't feel like that. This feels like, you are taking a literal trip to a place where you feel like really soul connected. I don't know. I feel like you're going to take a trip of some sort in February. And it may be as a result of some really emotional stuff. If you have children, they could be children, they could be becoming children, they could have children, they could become parents at this time. That's possible. That makes people deeply emotional. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. When it comes to No, I think that's enough. When it comes to March, we've got the second eclipse of the season. So this is a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. This for you is in your ninth house, right? So this Virgo space in your chart is your higher, well, it's not your high, it's like your higher mind. It's your vision for the future. It's also your religious and spiritual connotations and leanings. The Virgo energy also represents because it's in the ninth house. This could be is foreign places, distant lands, foreign travel. There could be opportunities in or around these things, or people from those places. The ninth house is also higher education, so some of you might decide at this time that you want to go back to some form of study, that you want to do some kind of degree program, maybe even a PhD for some of you, like you're really taking that education to the next level. That being said, it is a full moon lunar eclipse. Check out your lunation section for how that's going to unfold. For March, you have the Lovers card, so love, relationship, partnerships, and significant others of all kinds are definitely featured. You've got this with the Knight of Cups. If you are a single Capricorn, single and ready to mingle, a handsome or beautiful foreign stranger of some sort could absolutely rock your world at this time. It is eclipse season, so do be mindful of that. What I will also say is, whenever the Knight of Cups is coupled with the Lover's card, this is an offer of love. This is somebody that comes forward and declares their love, their affection, or their intentions for you. Take me on the moors, Heathcliff. Um, sorry. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, if you're already married, this could be something that your partner suggests to really take the relationship to the next level. If you're partnered, or like if it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend situation, then your partner could propose. If you are already married and you've already got children, it's like whatever it is, it's taking the relationship to the next level. This could also be that you are choosing to effectively take your relationship in a direction that maybe some people don't agree with. And I say that just because of the cards that it's next to, but we can't live our lives for others. Now, when it comes to April, on April the 26th, we've got Uranus moving back into the sign of Gemini, where it's going to be now for the next 6+ years. This for you is happening in your sixth house of your physical health and vitality. What this means is you're going to want to really manage your physical health and vitality. You're going to really need to pay attention to your health routines, the habits that you have. Really and truthfully, because Uranus is the electricals of the body, your nervous system is going to need more support from here on in. So I'm going to say, obviously, I'm not a doctor, can't give you medical advice. This is not a diagnosis, but you want to make sure you're getting your magnesium. You want to be taking your ashwagandha. You want to be getting your rest, your good 7 to 8 hours a day of sleep, right? Really good quality sleep as well. You want to make sure that you're eating well. Because it's Uranus in the sixth, you might not be able to regulate your what's the word that I'm looking for? Your routines, right? Because Uranus is not regulated in any way. So, it's going to be a case of you're going to have to forge a routine out of the chaos that is your life. Not when I say chaos, don't freak out. You know what I mean. All right. So for this, you've got the Hermit card. This is a time where you are taking some time out, taking some time alone. Now, you've got this coupled with the Sun card. I love this. So, for a lot of you, I would not be surprised if you are traveling in April. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that a lot of Capricorn people are traveling to, your France, southern France, Spain, Portugal, Italy. I wouldn't even be surprised to find out that some of you are going to Greece or some area like that. Yeah, April could absolutely see you taking off to places like that. There's also a sense here that you are doing some kind of solo travel, whether you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, doesn't matter. This combination suggests solo travel. You're traveling on your own. Wherever you're going, it's giving you a greater sense of fun, adventure, freedom, but it's also helping you really understand the joy and the pleasure of life. And I think that's so, so important for you at the moment. So as we come into May, you've got the Fool card, new things, new places, new people, new energy. So you've got a double up here, the Fool right underneath the Fool card. Now you couple this with the Four of Swords. So remember what I said about not necessarily being able to regulate your routines? May might be a time where you are taking time to see what is possible. This might be where you really sort of sit down with some paper to do some planning to say, right, I'm not going to be able to, let's say you work shifts, right? And you have a rolling shift pattern. So you say, okay, I'm not going to be able to do the whole Monday to Friday thing, but my rolling shift pattern looks like this. So maybe you start to plan your routines around your shift pattern. So let's say you start to plan in blocks of 3 months instead of 12. You maybe plan, in blocks of 5 days instead of 7. Do you see what I mean? It's like you're working with what is available to you, and you're creating really a routine and a schedule out of what's possible for you now, as opposed to well, I used to be able to do this every 3 days, or did it like whatever it is. That part of your existence, Capricorn, certainly over the next 6 years, I'm sorry to say, but that is not going to be a part of it. You will need to adapt. 2026 is a universal 1 year. I'm going to talk to you about the compass later, so you want to make sure you're getting one of those spaces, especially if you're a Capricorn person. Now, as we come into the other thing that I want to say about May as well, there might be spontaneous either reasons or support or opportunities to rest, to recuperate, to take some time out. If you're traveling in April, that might run into May. It's very possible. I also would say as well, I think there's 3 signs in 2026 that I think will probably be hearing a lot about them either moving abroad, planning to move abroad, and those signs are Capricorn, um, Aquarius and Leo, and potentially Saggies as well. I think those 3/4 signs are probably the ones that we will really hear about doing some interesting stuff next year. Now, as it comes into June, on June the 19th, we've got Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus. This is going to create instability and insecurity on the wider world stage when it comes to money, finances, and resources for everybody. I'm expecting a little bit of haywire energy around things, so please don't panic. Now that you know that this is the case, just prepare. Make sure you've got a little stash pot of savings. Make sure that you're well topped up and prepared for the month of June and July, right? You just make sure that you that's what I always say to everyone. Like, people freak out or they say, like, oh, I didn't get a good reading. And it's like, well, that's the whole point. If you do any form of divinatory or oracular art, right? The fact that you have a prediction, and everyone, like, it really makes me laugh when people say, like, my method is predictive. And then other people will be like, yours is oracular. Like, a prediction means to speak before the fact. So whether it's bang on the money or it's way off, a prediction is a prediction. That's what the word actually fucking means. Soapbox moment, I apologize, right? And the reason I get annoyed with this is because it's like when you hear somebody say to you, this has a potential to be a challenging month, rather than just sit there and say, oh, okay, it's going to be a challenging month. Why not create a plan to get through it? I'm going to talk to you about the compass later. Now, that being said, Chiron is moving for you into your 5th house. Joy, pleasure, romance, fun, creativity, sexy time. Your 5th house is also your children. So if you have children, there could be some instability or insecurity around them. It doesn't mean that anything bad is necessarily going to happen to them. It could be anything from maybe they need more support at school. Maybe they need more financial support because they're going through the process of purchasing a home. It could be maybe they already own their own home and they, one of them or their partner loses their job. Yes, it's not nice to know these things, but if you know that they are coming up and they're a possibility, you can plan for that potential. All right. So this is why I say to people, use this as a map. Now, that being said, on the 29th of June, we've got a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So for you, this is in your 7th house. Partnerships, relationships, connections, contracts of a personal, professional, or platonic nature. As if all of that wasn't enough, on the same day that Mercury goes retrograde, we have your annual full moon. If you want to find out what that's all about this year, hit the lunation section. All of that good stuff's in there. Then for this, you've got the Empress card. So, the Empress is Venus, the ruler of Taurus. So this will be really showing up for you in a visceral way. You've got this with the 8 of Cups. So it's interesting because I think a lot of you are doing some deep exploration and potentially around other places that you might want to live. I would say for a lot of you as well, this might be where you're walking away from an area or a location that you're in. For some of you, potentially from a job. It could also be because the Empress card can also represent your physical health and your beauty and like your aesthetic. For a lot of you, you might really be changing your look at this time. Maybe you stop dyeing your hair because you're like, you know what, I'm going to embrace my grey. Maybe you decide, oh gosh, I'm just trying to think of something now. But yeah, maybe you change your diet. Like, there's all of these things could be possible, by the way. Now, as we come into July on the 1st or the 3rd, so it's either the 30th of June or the 1st of July, whichever one, depending on where you are in the world, all that stuff. Jupiter is going to move into the sign of Leo. This is coming for you. This is coming into your 8th house. The 8th house is other people's money, big money, taxes, debts, loans, inheritances, mortgages, all of that kind of stuff. Jupiter is protection, and Jupiter in the 8th house can really ramp up or amplify the psychic abilities. So that's really wonderful. This could also amplify your reach with any of the spiritual sciences, astrology, tarot, numerology. When it comes to the 18th of the month, we're going to have the nodal shift. So the North Node is going to move into Aquarius. For you, that's going to be into your 2nd house of money. You're also going to have the South Node move into the sign of Leo, which will for you be in the 8th house, right? Now, for this month, you have the World card, promotions, step ups, stepping into new communities, new boardrooms, new spaces in life. You've got this with the Page of Cups. This is you, Capricorn, whether you're employed by somebody else, whether you work for yourself, this is you starting work on a very big project in some way, shape, or form. This will see you taking a big step forward with your business, with your career, with your job. And it's like you're stepping into a new community, you're stepping into a new boardroom, and it's like you're really feeling really pepped up about this. I kind of get the feeling that this is the result of whatever's happening in January. And that is going to kind of continue through February and even June. And then July, it's like this is where you see the what I would consider the finished product, right? As we come into August, I really like July actually. I think this is a power month, I've got to say, I really do. As we come into August, we have the second eclipse season of the year. We've got a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Leo. Again, that for you is in that 8th house. You've got the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces on the 28th of the month, and that is in your 3rd house. And then we're done with the Virgo Pisces axis, right? And then from there on in, it's the 2nd and 8th houses for you. Now, for August, you have the Hierophant card. So again, dealing with bigger, larger institutions, maybe as well. This is where, like, if you're stepping into a promotion or a new community, August is where you're really starting to solidify your role, how you show up there, the work that you do, all of that stuff. You've got this with the Nine of Wands, potentially some instability in the work sphere, not necessarily to do with you, but to do with the company that you work for, or maybe the sector that you work in. Those could all be considerations at this time. Another way that this could also show up, though, is someone could be spending some time in hospital and you're having to spend a lot of time visiting them. So going back and forth to a hospital, spending time, next to or with somebody while they go through whatever process they're going through. There seems to be a lot here unfolding. And the thing is, with that Nine of Wands, it can be things like PTSD. It can also be where, some like some physical sort of ailment either gets the better of us, or we look back on it and we're like, okay, you know what, that's going to leave a scar. Touch wood, I hope I'm wrong, but just something to keep an eye on. Now, for those of you that don't know, the 2026 compass and intuitive strategy for a new era is out. There's only 30 spaces. There's a link in the description box below. What you're going to get as part of the compass, you get a 12-month tarot reading just like this, but this is specifically for you. I focus in on your energy, your year ahead. You're going to get a PDF booklet that is printable. In that, you're going to have personal insights written on your astrology and your numerology, written by me for you. As if that wasn't enough, in December, you get a 3-hour one-to-one session with me where we combine all of these things. Any questions that you've got, any plans that you've got, we are going to plan your year meticulously together to co-create you a strategy so that you can navigate the incredible year that is going to be 2026. As if all of that wasn't enough, you get a complimentary seat on the Winter Solstice Alignment Activation Session in December of 2025. Completely free. And then on top of that, there is a payment plan. So you sign up, on the sign up, you pay your first installment. November, you pay your second installment. And then come December, you're literally already paid up. No financial worries in January about any of this stuff. By the time you get to January, you are clued up, planned up, and prayed up, right? And we're going to do some energy work along the way as well to ensure that you really get the most out of 2026. So if you want to get your space, as I said, there's only 30. Imagine how much effort I've put into these. Imagine how much more effort I'm going to be putting into those 30 people. That's why there's only 30 spaces, because there's only one of me. There's only so much that I can put out there, and the time constraints. So if you want to get yours, there's a link in the description box below. If you think, Raf, it sounds amazing, but it's out of my reach at this moment in time, you can book an astrology reading, a tarot reading, a numerology session, or you can book an energy work session with me and we can get that cracking as well. Links in the description box below. September, you have the strength card. So focusing on your physical health and vitality in September, definitely. Now, if this is you, September will be a month of recovery, rehabilitation. You've got this with the Six of Wands. I actually love that because this is like you overcoming something of a potentially of a physical health and vitality nature. Another way that you could see this though is that something that you put your heart, your absolute heart and soul into, you now see the results from. Now you see something really come up trumps. You see a moment of victory and success for something that you really have done your best to perform at your optimum with. September is going to be a fantastic month for you, I feel. Another way that this could show up as well is like, when they say like now it's time to perform. So it's like with studies, you prepare for an exam. For, I don't know, if you're a sports person, you prepare for the Olympics or, some other sporting event. And it's like, you do all of that prep work. And then when it's go time, that's where you have to perform, right? That's where you have to deliver. Well, September, you deliver, like fully on deliver. September's a power month, right? I love this for you. Now, as we come into October, on October the 3rd, Venus is going to go retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, and she's going to retrograde back into the sign of Libra. So for you, this starts in your 11th house and will come back into your 10th house of your career. Lots to say on that, but again, I haven't got the space here. So if you want to find out what that means for you, you know what to do. And then we've got the 3rd Mercury retrograde of the year. This is for you. So this one starts in Scorpio, but it stays in Scorpio. So again, this is going to be in that 11th house. Rethinking your friendships, rethinking your connections to groups and group associations, the goals or the plans or the visions that you have for your long-term future, your highest goals and aspirations for where you want to go and the people that help you get there is really going to be shifting at this time. Your friendship circle could be going through a massive upheaval around this time. I actually think for the better, because you'll have both Venus and Mercury going retrograde there. Okay, so for this, you've got the Devil card. Be careful of being too rigid here. You've got this with the Star card. Okay, I kind of like this combination. I will say though, this is a time to be extra discerning around friendships, really reading the room, really paying attention to who shows up for you, who celebrates your wins, who really supports you, who's in it to get something, and like one thing that I tell you about Capricorn energy, Capricorns are marvelously kind. Capricorn, Virgo, and Aquarius people are all marvelously kind, right? The thing that I've found with them is they don't like to be fucked around. They don't like people taking advantage, and so they will check someone when they do that. With a Capricorn person, if you're cross-watching, you don't have to hint at stuff for them. Just ask them for what it is that you want or what it is that you need, or even tell them what they think they owe you. And they will happily sort of rectify it. But when you start trying to manipulate them and all of that stuff, they check out, right? Like straight up, they check out. This, I want to say, just be extra careful about yes men or women. Be extra careful around friends who, quite frankly, are transactional relationships. It's like they're not really there to be of support. It's like, well, you do this for me and I'll do that for you. It's like just a transactional relationship. Watch out for those in October. Also, if you work online or in any way, shape, or form with or around social media, October, I would be extra careful about getting drunk. I always say don't drink and dial, right? Don't drink and dial. Or if you're a tarot reader, don't drink and deal. I always tell my students that. So yeah, just watch out for that. So November, you have the Justice card. Contracts, commitments, where you're signing on the dotted line. Matters of fairness and equality. And you've got this with the Two of Swords. This is very interesting. On a spiritual level, this will be a time where your precognitive abilities will be very, very high. Your ability to really precognate what is coming up, what's happening, precognition, premonitions, all of that stuff is likely to be quite high at this time. Listen to it. All right. Now, the Justice card is literally justice. You add to this the Two of Swords, which sometimes suggests that we need some justice. This could be a moment where you're vindicated, where you're supported in some regard, where someone steps in to really back you up on a contractual matter or in some legal matter or proceeding. This could also be where you are signing a solid legal contract, and it will be a solid legal contract. What's interesting is obviously Mercury goes direct on the 14th, Venus goes direct on the 14th. So if you can, I would wait until at least like the 18th before you sign any contracts. If you could wait a little bit later than that as well, I would say do so. Not always possible, right? But you do want to be mindful that those retrogrades don't end until around the 13th and the 14th. Mercury ends on the 13th, Venus ends on the 14th. As we come into December, happy damn birthday to you. If you are a December born Capricorn, same rules apply. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything that you want in it. Now, for December, you have the Chariot card. This is going to be a fast, powerful, and dynamic month where things are really moving for you. It's likely to be a month where you're traveling, potentially for the holidays, which makes a lot of sense. But you have this with the Ace of Swords. Whatever contract you're signing here, you really come up with the goods or come up trumps here in December. This, I think, is going to be a very powerful year for the Capricorns. I really, really do. The Chariot card as well with the Ace of Swords, for a lot of you, you could literally just be purchasing a new car. You could also be, because the Ace of Swords is interviews, so for some of you, you could be interviewing for a position in December. Now, I know that's kind of crazy because obviously it's the end of the year, we've got the holidays, blah, 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 blah. But I think for a lot of you, you might be going through a process like this at this time. Another way that you could see that combination as well is any and all legal matters and proceedings that unfold. December will very likely see you coming up trumps. You win. So if there's any form of legal dispute by the end of the year, don't panic. You've got it in the bag. Okay, so your challenge months this year, I think February has the potential to be one of them. I'm just going to be honest. I think June has the potential to be probably more emotional than a challenge, but yeah. August will be a challenge month. October will be a challenge month. All right, for sure. Your power months, however, you have January, power month. You've got, I really like March. I don't think it's a power month though. I think that March is all about the love life. April is an absolute power month. I really like May. Not sure it's a power month, but it's a good one. July is a power month, absolutely. September is an absolute power month. And I actually really like December. I think November is going to be neutral. So your Human Design Oracle card is the Gate 47 and Mindset. And this card always reminds me of that meme where there's two guys sat on a bus. There's one sat looking out at the sunshine and it's beautiful and all the rest of it. And then you've got the other guy sat looking at the rocks and he's like all miserable. Really and truthfully, I think this is going to be a great year for you. I think a lot of it's going to be a lot of hard work. I think there's going to be a lot of advancement. I stand by this. I think January is going to be stellar. I think you end the year as well pretty strong. But really and truthfully, because it's a mixed bag, I think how you approach it and your mindset towards how things are unfolding are really going to determine whether this is a good year or not for you. Now, with that said, check in month by month, every 3 months, every 6 months, however you do it. I love that you guys comment on these. I love that you come back and that you share your stories about how accurate it was or how it played out for you and all of that stuff. It really warms my heart to know that this is serving people throughout the year. So I'm really grateful for that. For those of you that do, remember to sign up to the Compass. There's only 30 spaces. I would love to serve the Capricorns this year just because I said it was going to be a big one, right? So, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year. Let me know. Take care, and I'll see you soon.